is lower dependent upon the number of sexual contacts that you have with someone. There is no risk at all if you don't have any sex at all. And that's what I would like to instill into the youth that are here today. Not to say no to sex. I would like to mention too, like the grown-ups that's here, it might seem unusual and strange, but even if a child or male or female is not at a teenager, the puberty age, you can have younger children, maybe 4 and up, that might have some sexually transmitted disease, that might have been infected by a sex abuser or older person. So the thing about it is you should pay real close attention to your children's behavior, like if their behavior begin like to vary, or they complain of pain, or maybe you're the one washing their clothing. Those are different in like their underclothing and all. You should maybe check this child out and find out exactly what's going on. Because the person that's a sexual abuser will often offer money, gifts, or other things to a child in order for them not to report it to someone that's grown up. They might even dread the child, that they're going to harm the child or either harm the loved one that's taking care of this child. What I will attempt to do now is to discuss each one of the diseases separately. Now, in discussing these diseases separately, if I tell you about the time that you might begin to have symptoms after being affected, you probably will not remember it, but I will try to give you some signs and symptoms that you will have, and most of all of the disease, some of the signs and symptoms are the same, and this will alert you that something is going wrong. This is either girls or the boys, or either females. And the first one we're going to talk about is gonorrhea. The signs and symptoms might occur from a person that's infected with gonorrhea. There might not be any signs or symptoms at all at first. But the person going to the bathroom might complain when you pass your water of it burning, itching. You might have some type of drainage or discharge when you go to the bathroom. Most of the time, the girls might have a fever or complain of their tummy hurting. And for men and boys, there might be a whitish discharge or drainage from the penis. Whenever they pass the water, they will feel itching and burning upon passing the water. Next, we'll talk about chlamydia. Chlamydia is 3 times more common than gonorrhea. 3 to 4 million men, boys, women, and girls are affected yearly by it, and it's the most common sexually transmitted disease in the United States today. You might have chlamydia and gonorrhea at the same time, either it could be vice versa. Usually when people have a sexually transmitted disease, it is more than one disease that they are infected with at the same time. Some of the symptoms that a boy or a man might experience from having chlamydia, sort of similar to gonorrhea, is a discharge from the penis, burning upon urination, itching around the opening of the penis. And the symptoms of chlamydia might start, they might experience them early in the day and then the symptoms disappear, but they will come back again. So if you notice, like early in the morning when you get up, you might have some problem, but later on in the day it goes away, definitely you need to look into this. Sometimes men will not have no noticeable signs that they even have this disease. Most times the symptoms go unnoticed. Women will have the same similar symptoms as mentioned with gonorrhea, vaginal itching and discharge. They will have chronic tummy pain. If a girl is having a menstrual period, there might be some bleeding in between her menstrual period. Again, there might be a low-grade fever. And because the chlamydia infection is internal, 80% of the symptoms do go unnoticed until you might be having some complications from it. Usually the person might find out that they might have chlamydia if another person have been to a doctor, and the doctor have diagnosed them with chlamydia, they might tell the person that they have had sex with, and this is when they go to be checked, this is how they find out that they might be infected also. Chlamydia is a very dangerous disease in that if it goes untreated, women or young girls might not be able to have children, and if a woman have children, she might not be able to have any more children. It might be necessary to even remove the reproductive organs as a result of complications that have occurred from this disease. So it's very important that you do seek treatment immediately. And the treatment for chlamydia, the doctor might put you on several different drugs, and the reason for the several different drugs is, as I said, because most times it's more than one infection present at the same time. It's very important that you follow the doctor's instructions very carefully, take all of your medication, even when you're not having no problems and no symptoms, go back for a re-examination if the doctor tells you to return. Anyone that you probably have had sex with, you should encourage them to seek medical attention, because if they don't seek medical attention and you have sex with them again, you can become reinfected, or possible they can begin to have other complications. At the time that you're being treated for sexually transmitted disease, you should avoid having sex. And again, be sure to tell other partners about your self-beating treatment. We'll now talk about syphilis. A person that's infected with syphilis will usually get a sore. Sometimes the grown-up might have heard it referred to as a chancre. Sometimes this sore might be painful, somewhere on their sex organs or on the mouth. The sore might disappear without treatment, but the disease will remain. Weeks later, there might be other signs and symptoms where the person might have a low fever, they might begin to have sore throat, they might have a rash or sores on other parts of the body. Again, these symptoms might disappear and return again. After 2 years of not being treated from syphilis, the person that has syphilis cannot affect anyone else, but their condition will begin to deteriorate. We'll now talk about herpes simplex virus 2. And there's many forms of herpes. You've probably heard of people like say like they have a fever blister. This is a form of herpes. But the main herpes that we're talking about today is herpes 2, because this is a sexually transmitted disease. When you have herpes 2, you may or may not experience any pain or discomfort, and if you experience it, the discomfort might be mild. In men that have herpes, they might have sores or clusters of blisters on their penis. Women will have blisters in or around her vagina. Either she might have a fever or complain of a headache. Without treatment of herpes, the symptoms will usually disappear in 1 to 2 weeks, but may flare up later. And the herpes virus might go unnoticed or go underground for long periods in between attacks. But once you have been infected with herpes, there is no cure, complete cure from the disease. And in some women, this can possibly cause them to have cancer of the cervix.
Name is Zion Church in Maysville, North Carolina. And I'm the president of the NAACP for New Bern, Craven County. I'm a former teacher of Havelock High School. And of course, I'm a product of Shaw University and Virginia Union Theological Seminary. And I was the first black since Reconstruction appointed director of the Migrant Project for the state of North Carolina in 1979. My office was in the Ballantyne building in Raleigh. And I'm happy to be present. My soul is happy to see these young people coming to receive the information that will be conducive to the promised days of their lives. And let me say before I do forget that the speaker that preceded me, I'm telling you, I never heard so much information about AIDS, and I want to thank you, and I doff my hat to you because I certainly think it's going to mean a lot to these young people. Some years ago, the sports writers was seeking 3 famous baseball players. I may have mentioned this some time ago. But they chose some real good men, like Ernie Banks and Hank Aaron and Willie Mae. And of course, they got some criticism because those men were black that they chose. But the reply was that these men were not chosen because they were black. They were chosen because they were the best in the world. And I want my race to be the best in the world.
Amen.
Now let me start off this way. When I was informed about this situation, I wrote a speech out for it, but I didn't know I was going to be speaking to church, so it's there in my briefcase. Maybe I'll speak it some other time. But I want to just get down, I just want to ascend my judgment rather with these beautiful children. And they're so lovely. And God has made them for our benefit. And you know, my heart weeps when I think of the destruction of our young people. And I say to hope that this generation will certainly exceed the generation that's passed. And I say to hope that your life will be greater. Before I get into the civil rights movement, when I was a boy, and that's been many years ago, I'm 72, the average life of a black man in that time during the 30s was 37 and 2 years. Now that was rather short, wasn't it? But that was his average life, while the white man lived 56 and 2 years. Now listen, in 1972, the survey was made. The black man average life was 71 years in 1972, while the white man was 75 and 2 years. Now here's what's going to make you cry. Today, the average life of an African American dropped to 69 years. The white man is 77 years. He lived 77 years. Where we were living 71 years back in the 70s, we have dropped down to 69. And I thought about what you were saying about the AIDS problem and the drug problem. That's the cause. Last year, 1991, I visited New Bern High, and I had an opportunity to speak to about 150 or 200 black, predominantly black students. And I went out to speak with them, to introduce to them some of the importance of the NAACP. Because I'm trying to get a youth organization in the NAACP in Craven County. Did you know 80% of those young people that talked to whose age varied from, I say, about 14 to 18 years old, had never heard of the NAACP. Now that was hard for me to believe. But then I took the sucker thought it was quite logical and natural that they hadn't heard of it. It's because, one, they were not around during the Civil Rights Revolution. Two, the parents became disenchanted after the Civil Rights Bill passed and school integration. So it was not a motivating factor to the parents. And therefore the children has had a misapprehension of this goal that has sustained them in public schools and public accommodation and in jobs and all this sort of thing came from the hands and the minds of the NAACP. That's a very important issue. And I'm so sorry that our parents has not been motivated enough to tell the children what the NAACP has done. Now let me give you some of the origin of it, and you won't forget it because your mind is stronger than mine. The NAACP was not organized by black people. That's going to raise your eyebrows. Here's why the NAACP was organized. The white people organized the NAACP because the Ku Klux Klan was terrorizing black churches and black communities and killing up black people. So they had to do something about it. Now, there was a young black boy, 12 years old, that went swimming. And of course, this was in Springfield, Illinois. He swam too far out of his black territory over where the white boys were swimming. And they killed him dead. Oswald Garrison, the grandson of William Lloyd Garrison, the great abolitionist, and W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary Holcomb, and William Monroe Trotter, and many other black and white came together one night in 1909 celebrating the birthday of Abraham Lincoln. And that's where the NAACP was born, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Every black person in the United States should have a membership in the NAACP. But if the parents don't belong to it, and the parents don't associate it with it, then the children will not know, because it should be handed down like the church and various kinds of religion should be handed down from the parents. The civil rights movement has been one of the greatest factors in the black society and through the black church. The black church was the motivating power. It was the power base. All our work and all our organization, everything that we had planned or anticipated came out of the womb of the black church. It has been our help in ages past and our hope for years to come. Been a shelter in the stormy blast to our eternal home. So we shouldn't forget the black church and what it has done for us. Third, in this dispensation that we are living in, it's much different from the old days. But the form has not changed, but the fact abides. me say this now. In the 50s and 60s, you were prohibited, we were rather, from going to certain water fountains and certain restaurants. But the NAACP intervened, and they filed charges against the judiciary system. And our lawsuits in court with litigation brought the attention of the power structure low enough to give us an opportunity to socialize with the power structure. So these lawsuits that the NAACP filed did all of this for us, because you would not been going to school with little white children. You would not have been had the opportunity to go in a white restaurant. You see, because I got put out of the Holiday Inn, and I got put out a lot of places in here. At least they tried to put me out, but I've always been a fighter, and to put me out, you got to fight. You got to come out yourself. That's the way I was. So it has been a trouble struggle. But I thank God that we have overcome a lot of the crippling circumstances of life. One more thing I would like to call your attention to that has caused the NAACP to be so rich and has given it a great start educationally and financially, and has certainly motivated the minds of many black leaders. Back then in the 30s, there was a young brilliant white man named Charles Gawley, and he inherited $1 million. Well, he didn't want, it's the first man in history that I ever read that didn't want $1 million. He didn't want it. $1 million, he said he didn't want it, and he wanted to give it away as quick as he could. He wanted to get his mind off of $1 million. So they formed an organization in Washington, D.C. And the name of it was the Garland's Trust. And they gave the NAACP a large portion of that $1 million. And they also gave the National Urban League a portion of the $1 million. At the same time, in 1930, President Herbert Hoover had appointed Judge Parker a spot on the Supreme Court of the United States. Just like President Bush appointed, what's his black man?
Break for 5 minutes, then we're going to return to our seats because we have Kiss 99.5.
No, 99.
Let's go ahead and take our break, go to the bathroom, do what you have to do, and return to your seats, all right? Thank you.
My name is Gene Carter. I represent Wave 99.5. I had no idea what I was going to speak about. I was hoping the whole thing before leaving home that the three secrets of successful speaking are: number one is be sincere, number two is be brief, and number three is be seated. Let's not go through that. Tell you a little bit about myself. Strange that I could follow ministry. My younger years, I did go to school to be a Presbyterian priest, which didn't transpire. The old lady I used to love to go talk to when I was home back home in the military. I went to Marine Corps. 100 years old. The whole time I've been in school studying to be a priest, thoughts ran through my mind that used to always say, she saw a young minister out of the church around one day, and really popular with the young ladies. Some way she could never get in her mind that, he was sincere about preaching. But she walked over to him and said, "Young man, are you sure that the Lord called you to preach, or you just went?" So the whole time that I was in school, I getting into radio, I got into that strange way. Heard the Reverend speaking to you about you can do anything you want to do. Fortunately enough, all during my lifetime, I've always done everything that I've ever wanted to do. Small thing is, I've heard that thing says, whatever you can picture in your mind or conceive in your mind that you want to do, you can achieve it. Sometimes it's very hard. Another thing that you might think about children, being successful, a lot of times is getting up one more time than being knocked down. You see that as being black, you're going to be knocked down a lot of times. But the key to success is not to get depressed, just keep getting up, keep fighting, and you'll be where you want to be. I got in radio, luckily right now, however long this lasts, I do have my own radio show. I used to work for some white radio station. They didn't really want me on there, but they just had me a job back there running the board. I didn't dare say anything. But out of this, running this board, I'm running a program out of New York. This guy's making $200,000 or $300,000 a year. And I'm sitting there learning everything he's doing. I was going to school to get paid for it right there at the station. During that whole time, I was sometimes going to production room, picture in my mind what I would do if I had my own radio. I'd sit back there and I'd put my music together and I'd tape it, play it to myself. No idea that it would ever transpire. And all of a sudden, this station calls me to work for them. How would you like to do your own radio show? Scared me to death. I said, well, here I go again. I've accomplished something that I thought that I had in my mind that I wanted to do, which transpired. Give you a little history about Wavy 99.5. I don't know if the parents read in the papers or not. It is a black radio station by Reverend Bishop Willis, formerly from Bern, North Carolina. Has 27 radio stations. They're still buying more. Wavy format is a black adult contemporary format. Wavy plays pop like recorded stars of the state. Wavy features rhythm of the 70s, Earth, Wind and Fire, Marvin Gaye, the OJs. Wavy remembers the classic soul of the 60s, Force Pop, Aretha Franklin, Simon Davis. But some of these people, Wavy plays no rap music. Every now and then one will slip through there. We don't know it's rap, but for the most part, we're not playing the rap music. Wavy covers Raleigh, Wilson, Ringgold, Goldsboro, Kinston, Washington, New Bern, Jacksonville, Morehead City, and down the Atlantic Seacoast. And surprisingly or not, you get a lot of calls from down to Atlantic or parts of the island way. That's mostly white. White areas. You'd be surprised when I'm a white who listen to this all black station. So we probably have a problem with it. But so far we have not studied growing. So making my own speech brief to younger people this afternoon, the art of pleasing whether you're coming up in school or going where you want to go consists of being pleased. If you're not pleased yourself with what you're doing, there's a good chance that you're not going to please anybody else.
The show Spencer of juvenile needs.
By the state of North Carolina as one of the assistant district attorneys here for New Bern in this whole district. I'm gonna try and be very short and to the point and take a few questions and then get out of here. It's been a long day for everybody. And any questions that you have about anything that I can answer, I will answer for you. I've been employed in New Bern for about 2 years. I moved here from Jacksonville about 2 years ago. As an assistant district attorney, my job comes in when everybody else has tried and you've tried every other program there is to help you and nothing works. I am probably about the last person you want to process for the juvenile. We come in after your parents cannot help you, after every organization that you've been taken to cannot help you. You come in there after you've violated some law of this county, of this city, of this state. Now, I conduct juvenile court on Fridays, every Friday. Some of you I may have seen, some of you I have not seen in juvenile court. We do everything from breaking and entering, from kids who take drugs, from kids who steal, from anything that you might do. We see you in juvenile court. I was asked to tell you about how I came to be a district attorney and how long it took me to do that. I went to college for 4 years initially, and then from there I went on to law school for another 3 years. So it was a complete 7-year program before I got to be a district attorney. And it's a appointed position, the DA is, and my position is appointed position by him at that point in time. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a whole lot of sacrifice, but it's not something that you cannot do. As the Reverend stated and representatives from the radio station stated, it's just a matter of you deciding what you want to do and how much time you want to commit to what you want to do. It's not easy, and it's a struggle, but then a lot of people struggle for you to get where you are, so the doors are open, and you can do it if you want to do it. It's just a matter of setting your minds to it and deciding that's what you want to do. It's not something that's going to be given to you. And it doesn't matter how many doors are open for you. Nobody is going to give it to you. You've got to walk through the doors on your own. And that's where your determination, your learning, and your progress is going to make the difference. Now, in juvenile court, when a student or a person comes in, for whatever reason they come in there, we take them through a process. They're appointed attorneys just like any adult. They have an opportunity to tell what they think is going on and what they want to do. We take into consideration anything that a juvenile says once they come into our department. We don't do anything as far as sending kids to jail or anything of that nature. What our goal is to rehabilitate the juvenile and help them find an opportunity for themselves and take another avenue besides the one that they've taken at that point in time. We come in, the juvenile, if he's found delinquent, and that means if he's found responsible for whatever he's charged with at that point in time, he's usually put on probation. Under probation, there's certain rules that you have to follow. Those rules include any rules that your parents might have you do, whether it's curfew, whether it's cleaning up, whether it's going to school. The judge orders you to do those things. He also orders you to do certain other things, whether it's going to certain programs, where it's being evaluated, where there's cooperating with community service, whatever the judge feels is necessary to get you on the right track, that's what he tends to order for you at that point in time. If probation doesn't work out, then you come back and see us again. At that point, if we've tried every resource available to us and you're still not able to conduct yourself as required by your teachers, your parents, or the laws of this state, then we take the ultimate goal and we send you to training school. In training school, you will stay there until your behavior conforms to what is expected of you. If you get the proper points at training school, you will be released. But if you reach a point where you do not obey your parents, you do not obey the laws of the state of this community, that's when you go to training school. Here lately, we're seeing crimes where juveniles, younger than some of you, are running around with guns, who are taking drugs, and breaking all kinds of laws. And in those positions, if you're at least 14, you can be tried as an adult. And we do that because we're seeing more and more children who are being used by adults to commit crimes because they think the children will not be prosecuted as adults. But that is not true. We will prosecute juveniles as adults if the crimes are serious. You may have seen here lately there was a young man in Jacksonville who shot a cab driver. He was a juvenile, but they have decided to prosecute him as an adult, and it will be done. And you will face the same penalty that any adult will you're a juvenile and you will not be prosecuted as an adult, that is not true. If the crime is an adult crime and an adult will do it, you will be prosecuted as an adult and you will suffer the same penalties as any adult would. So don't let anybody fill your head full of statements that you won't go to jail, you will not be prosecuted, because it is not true. The first thing a lot of juveniles that we see say is that somebody told me I could do it and it wouldn't cost me anything. I wouldn't get in trouble. But it's not that way. You have to be responsible for your own actions. If you're not sure about what you're doing, ask somebody. There's so many people you can ask. Go to your parents. If you're not satisfied with what they tell you, go to somebody like Mr. Bell. He's available for you to talk to. There's so many people out here in this community that are available to direct you and tell you what's wrong and what's right. You can pick up the telephone and call the DA's office. They'll try and assist you. But do not rely on statements from someone who is doing wrong themselves and is attempting to lead you astray as well. Because ultimately, you are going to have to pay for the decisions you make. And the ones that you make now can affect your whole life. Because once you get a felony record, that's the worst thing you can do. Because the first thing your employer is going to ask you, what have you been convicted of? What have you done? And you're going to have to put it down on your record. And a lot of times that's the first thing they look at is what you've done wrong. It's not always your color. It's what you've done and how you have conducted yourself. So you cannot use your color as an excuse. It's your behavior often that determines what you do and how your life proceeds. I went to a predominantly white school, and it wasn't easy. The people there you could count on one hand, and nobody was there to give you anything. But the problem is you're not out here to look for somebody to give you something. You have to work and you have to earn it, because that's the only way you can be sure of that it is yours and no one can take it from you. Going through school is the same thing. You have to go in and you have to work hard, because that's the way you know that what you learn and what you get is yours and no one can take that from you. And it's the same thing with the law. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to and you earn what you get, no one can take it from you. I know most of you have heard of Hammer. I mean, everybody's probably heard of Hammer. And his new slogan, too legit to quit. It's the same thing. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you're doing it legally and you're within the rules, nobody can prevent you from obtaining your goal, whatever it might be. But if you cross the line and break the law, that's when you see me. And I have the objection to prosecute anyone who breaks the law. Now basically, if you have any questions about the law or any questions about what I do, I'll take them right now. Okay? No, they don't always catch everybody. We'd be giving them too much credit if we say they catch everybody. But a lot of times they catch most of them. And a lot of times the criminals catch themselves. Like when you walk into a store and you don't have a mask on and a person can see your face, it's not a challenge to find out who it was. You know, and if you don't wear gloves and things of that nature. But usually most criminals wind up getting themselves caught because of the things they do. Okay? Well, a lot of times they leave behind different kind of food. It might be something that they forgot to cover, like a mark on their hand, the shoes they wear, or they leave the place at a certain time and they leave in a certain vehicle where somebody sees them. There's a lot of things that they just don't think about a lot of times. Well, see, police work, it carries a whole lot of different kind of procedures to find people. A lot of times, most criminals or some criminals think they got away because there's no find your person. There's a lot of them.
Good morning. Mr. Bell asked me to introduce myself, to say something about myself. Some of you youngsters know me. My name is Mrs. Tripp. Probably quite a few of you know my older son. How many of you know Devon Tripp? You know Devon?
I do. He
Okay.
go to my school.
Oh, does he? Okay. Some of you kids I've taught at Vacation Bible School a couple of years ago. And some of you may know that I work a lot with kids. I work at the News Mental Health Center with Mr. Bell and with Miss Outerbridge, who was here earlier to talk to you about some health concerns. I'm a psychologist, and as a psychologist, I see many youngsters who are testing, to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, to find out what some of your feelings might be. I also do quite a bit of therapy. I sit down and talk to children and families about their problems and try to work with kids around areas of difficulty that they might have. Some of you may see me at school from time to time. I'm in and out of schools quite a bit. Working with teachers and working with parents on behalf of kids. Now, I want somebody to tell me, why are you here today? What is this about? Okay, this is you. This, self-esteem. Okay, now tell me, Aisha, tell me what self-esteem means. Okay, self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Okay, what's another reason that we're here today? This is Black History Month. This is a Youth Vision program, and we're here to talk about self-esteem. Okay, this is also part of self-esteem is having a positive image of oneself. Now, throughout the morning, there have been various prizes given away because some of you have answered certain Black history questions correctly, all right? So one of the first things that I want to do is let's get a sense of who we are. What I'd like for somebody to answer for me is the question of, how does a person act black? How does a person act black? Okay, would most of you agree that there's some behavior that's considered black behavior, and there's some behavior that might be considered non-black behavior or white behavior? Tell me what constitutes blackness. Or how would you describe black people? Okay, and what is, okay, she said that she would look at blackness from a standpoint of our culture. What are some things that are special about it? Okay, you kids talk about homeboy, you talk about being cool, you talk about being down, which is like down what?
I didn't see nothing.
No, what did you say? Down with music. Down with music. Okay. Down old people?
OPP.
Oh, OPP. Okay. Okay. All right. As black people, we do have a culture. We do have a common frame of reference upon which we can relate. All right? And it goes deeper than just the color of our skin. One of the things that I love about the black culture is that I can go to just about any black church, and And the songs that are being sung, I can sing the songs with them, okay? What I wanted to kind of get across before I get into my topic is, wanted you to get a sense of
Okay, you can sit down now. Now you had your time to talk, okay? You ready for the karate person? What you're gonna have to do is give me your undivided attention so I can go real fast and you can get the karate person on, okay? All right. To tell you a little bit about me, my name is Darlene, and I am a clinical social worker. I help people with problems. I help people try to solve their problems. I work with teenagers, I work with little children, and I'm just going to give you a little story so you can really see what I do and what I work with and the problems that I work with, in that you can understand a little bit more about my job. I work at a psychiatric hospital where there are patients that come in, little children like you. We take them at 13 and up. But there are other hospitals that take them at some of your ages. I have this one particular client, and this is going to lead into what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about self-esteem, and I'm going to be very brief. I have a 15-year-old that's in the hospital right now that feels like he's nobody. He wants to kill himself. He's tried to kill himself. He tried to stick himself, he stuck himself with a knife in his stomach prior to coming to the hospital. He almost died from that. Yesterday, he found a way to get the padding from out around the window, which is a plexiglass. He did that, then he took a chair and he broke the window. He took the glass from the window and cut his wrist. The next thing he was getting ready to do is to jump from the 3rd floor and end his life. This person that I'm talking about is a person that has no self-esteem. Why does he have a good self-esteem about himself? His mother is on crack. His stepfather is dead. His grandmother is dead, who he really loves and admires. He has really nobody. He feels worthless. He feels hopeless. He feels there's no tomorrow. When he stuck that glass in his arm yesterday, he felt no pain. But when he stuck the knife, he felt pain. He is at a point of being so depressed, not loving himself, that the only way out is death. All he thinks about is dying. It's sad, right? Right. But there, huh? You can ask some questions because I know this is a deep story to tell you about, but I really wanted you to see that there are kids out there, 5, 4, 10, 15 years old, who have a problem with their self-esteem. They don't like themselves. They don't like how they feel. They don't like their family environment. They don't like the way they look. And this guy happens to be a really nice guy. But you know what? He is just so miserable. He's just so unhappy. He'd rather be dead. Each one of you sitting in here today, you have a choice to do something with your life, to feel good about yourself, to be motivated. This individual that I'm talking about, he doesn't have that chance, and hopefully he will feel better. Right now, he cannot go away from anyone. He has to have staff around him constantly so that he will not harm himself. But he is what you're calling, if you come from an environment where you heard those things, that you're nobody, you're dumb, you're stupid, silly, any other word? Any other word? What? Retarded? That's a good one. Retarded? Dumb? Ugly? Big mouth? Black? Sagging? Stupid? Fool? What? So how does that make you feel? Upset? Sad and mad. Thank you for sharing those. Because what I want you to see is that if those kinds of things are being said to you, you have a program that you're involved in where you can talk to someone about someone saying those things to you. You're in a program that builds your self-esteem daily when you come to a meeting. So you don't have to say those labels. But as we know, society would want you to stay that way. Society would want you to stay dumb, black, stupid, ugly, all those negative words that you use. Go ahead. They do hurt. Some people feel that they'd rather get a punch than to be called a name. Because those words, they do stay with you for a long time. They do become a part of you. Most people who have not succeeded is basically due to a problem with self-esteem, them not liking themselves. That's basically what the problem. That's one of the reasons why you use drugs and alcohol. That's why the peer pressure is so great. You want to fit in somewhere. You don't know where to. So when you really look at self-esteem, and you can really feel so good about yourself, just the way you are, with curly hair, with nappy hair, with being black. Right, it's nothing wrong with it. You have to know work at? Yes, I work with a lot of people like that. I work with adults. I work with children. Black. Believe it or not, you usually hear suicide more with white people. But the black people are under stress and strain, and kids are under a lot of pressure. You are all under a lot of pressure today. You really are. He did try to commit suicide. Yeah. That's bad. He did? Really? And you know when they do something like that, they're wanting attention. This guy's mother is in the hospital. She was in an accident with both of her legs broken. His father is dead, so he really has no one but cousins and aunts. He wants a mother, he wants a father. He doesn't have those, so the only thing he has is to want to not live. That's all he really wants. Yeah, he has some of those. Yeah? Think about it for a couple more minutes. We'll come back to you. It's gonna come back to you. How? She was in a car accident. About last week sometime. She's in the hospital now. She can't come in. She's in another hospital. Benefits of she has a problem with drugs and alcohol. He's the only child. And the reason why I told you that story is to let you know that this is a person that has no self-esteem. It is very low. He is at the point of feeling hopeless, worthless, life is not living, and he has tried to show that in many forms of fashion. He can't do it now because staff is around him, around the clock.